Coach, did Juwan practice today?
Yes. Yeah, he was out there. It was good to have him out there. I know the guys were excited to see him out there and just be back. And, you see that big smile of Puma out there, and it's always pleasant to see. And so, Matt and his guys done a great job of getting him back out there, but it was fun to see him back out there and smiling and throwing the ball around.
How did his mobility look?
We'll watch it on practice. We'll watch the film and kind of see from there. But, I know we saw him throwing the ball around well. But that's something that we'll continue to evaluate as we get him out there. It was pleasant to see him out there just being out there today. And so we'll take it a day at a time with it.
What's the challenges of having three guys? It's a good thing. I mean, obviously it's a good thing to have three guys that have thrown a touchdown pass, but for an offense to have three guys who are a little different than each other, to have three quarterbacks that you could use, what's the challenges that brings?
It's for us, and truthfully, and Coach Sad will say the same thing. That doesn't the system's the system, and regardless of whoever it is that's out there, it's going to be the plays that we're running, and those are the plays that we're practicing every day. And so the offense isn't changing just for one guy, and so it's the same play. So we're practicing whoever's out there those same plays day in and day out. So I think for the O-line and stuff, their interaction, because nowadays you don't have a huddle, really it might be just a pat on the back after a play or something, But other than that, they're just hearing the play and hearing the snap and hopefully just going out there and playing ball.
What about the line play the other day? And you rotated a couple times, and I think you scored when Cole was at guard both times.
Yeah.
So that has to make you feel good to see that.
Yeah, trying to develop, whoever that sixth guy is, trying to get that guy to where he could play every position on the offensive line. And we knew going into this game it was going to be hot and humid, and it was. And so I wanted to rotate those guys early and try to keep those guys fresh on the inside. And so it was good to get, Cole out there with those guys at both. I mean, he played all three positions on the inside. And his versatility and the ability to do that helps us a lot. Because, come the fourth quarter, when you start piling up the snaps and you're in the 70, if you're touching that 80 snap range, that's a lot of reps when the weather's the way it was. And so that allowed those guys, I think, to stay a little bit more fresh on the inside throughout the game.
What can you guys do to make sure that receivers other than two guys like Dez and Seth are, doing a little bit better than they have and getting the ball more?
Well, I think that, we got special players on the outside at receiver, and we just have to execute. When their play is called, we just got to do a better job of executing that play, be it from protection, be it from a read, but we just all have to do our part with it, and because they're going to get their touches and their opportunities to change a game for us. They're special talents, and the great thing about all those guys, when their number isn't called, they're still playing with that great effort. They might be blocking for Hawkins, they might be blocking for Hall, but you see the effort, and that's the fun thing around when you have guys where it's truly, you see us wearing the shirts about team, at one. Our guys are like that, and that's a pleasure to be around.
Have you guys as a staff discussed the importance of getting everyone else involved in the offense?
We do, and we think that going into each game that we have a fair amount of plays that's going to target those guys. If we're executing it, it'll be good. If not, it's like, you saw Tues, he had a pretty good day the other day. A lot of those plays that we were calling for him, we were able to execute them up front, everywhere across the board, and those are pretty good plays for us. And so, to me, I think that just has to be first and foremost. We just have to be able to execute what's being called.
Yesterday, Scott mentioned, looking at the film of Florida State, he sees bigger guys, faster guys. What kind of challenge do you expect, especially from that defensive front?
Yeah, well, they're full of draft picks, that's for sure. A great, seen those guys for a couple of years now, and they're very talented. They got the size, the NFL size of all those guys in the NFL, and they got the quicks and explosiveness. I mean, all those guys will play at the next level, and they're big guys. I mean, those guys, pretty much all of them weigh over 300 pounds up front. And so I think the guys, when you play this game, you get excited to be able to go up against those type of guys. And I think the guys were very excited about the challenge that's ahead of them. And like we tried not to talk too much ahead about who we're playing. It's more about just our preparation leading up to a game. And then however we prepare, then that's going to be showcased on Saturday. And so really try not to feed too much into like this is our opponent, but more about just, hey, it's about us, it's about our preparation. But Florida State, they got great talent, great speed, great athleticism, size, all across that defense. And so it's going to be a great challenge for us. And it's going to be fun to go see the guys go out and play against them.
How much of an impact do you think Jim Leavitt and bringing him on staff is going to make for this game?
I think it's going to. I definitely. I mean, anytime you have somebody with Coach Leavitt's experience and knowledge, and every time I've talked to somebody, I mean, the kids play for him. They play hard for him, and so anytime you have that, I think that's always a plus for you. And so it's going to be a challenge, and those guys are playing hard. They're getting after it, and so it's going to be it's going to be fun to go see our guys compete against that, and see how our guys will go out and respond against playing against a very, very talented defense in Florida State.
When you have a player like Tues who's such a playmaker but weighs 153 pounds, how do you balance getting him the ball with concern about his durability?
He's tough. We could hand him the ball, and he could play quarterback. There's so much that he can do. And, the thing that you have to be careful about it, because he's such a dynamic player, is having him almost over-involved because of wearing them down before fourth quarter gets there. And so Coach Brewer does a great job of trying to make sure, because we want to make sure that, every play he could be doing something on offense because he's that type of player. Mm-hmm. And so you got to make an effort to make sure that, you're not just wearing them down before the game's over with. And but he's dynamic, he's tough, he's strong, but he runs powerful. He doesn't run like he's 100 and however big he is. He runs like he's got a load behind him. And that's more of just, I think he plays with a chip on his shoulder, and he's got great speed, but he wants to make it happen every time he touches the ball.
Do you have to consciously ration how much you use him early in the game?
I don't think that you think about it when you're out there. I think it happens. I think that you kind of just have to get a feel for it as the game is going along, and just making sure that we were talking about it earlier is just that he is getting the touches that he needs. But I think it's just a feel for how the game is going for you offensively with him.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it harder to rotate a lot of guys at an offensive line as opposed to a defensive line where you constantly?
It may be because of just my experience and background was always, playing in NFL where you had 8 guys, period. And sometimes you traveled 6 or 7 guys that were active on games. So that 6, 7, they had to play every position. And so for me, I think that the continuity that those guys have up front with one another, that means a lot. And sometimes when you put a new body in there, it kind of disrupts that a little bit. And so it takes time to kind of develop that with the other guys getting in there with the rotation. But I've always been where, the 5 best are going to play, and if that 6th best one is a guard, but I have a tackle that's in, he's going to play tackle. And so trying to make a complete lineman, letting those guys having to play every position. It adds value, but also, say Cole is playing left guard, but now he has to go to right guard. Well, they're used to him up there already now. But I think that has a lot to do. It's just the communication, lack of, or just not that same voice that they're used to up there. May it be a split. It's just a little bit different. It really is, and I've always seen it like that too. And you see D-lines always rotating out and stuff like that, but I don't know.
Dwayne, with Hawkins, the way he runs, I mean, he's so a fast guy. You would think outside, but he really likes to bump it up into the middle there. What what is kind of does that give you guys as an offense, the versatility that he can do a little bit of?
Oh, it's great. He's not a guy that's just going to try to get on the edges. I mean, he wants to get it up in between the tackles, and that's what I've talked about Hawkins, and I noticed from spring through fall camp is the way he plays. Like he just has something to prove every time he touches the ball. Like the way he runs with such power. He's not looking to go out of bounds. He's looking to get all the yardage that he can get. But in saying that, he can make you miss. He's got great speed. So to me, I think he has a lot that you want in a running back as far as that package, because he's a guy that's willing to, and wants to run in between the tackles and to play that physical brand of football, running the football.
The last few games you guys have gone against teams that had really good defensive ends, and Florida State, some of their best guys are more on the inside. Does that change how you approach this at all?
No, it doesn't. We don't. It's each week. I mean, every week there's always great defensive ends that we play, but just good defensive linemen, period. And so, what we try to do is just take what that player's doing. He may be doing something differently that the previous guy wasn't doing, and try to work that specifically during that week. And so he might be, working a certain move that we've seen in games now. But we try to make sure our guys are able to see that, so they know what to expect and how to counter any type of moves that he has with it. And so that player in particular may just have a little bit more in his arsenal as far as pass rush moves, or as an example. And so we just got to do a good job of identifying all those and know what to look for when we're going against those great D linemen.
All right, Coach. Good. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.